What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Talk. Gane has turned up the heat ahead of UFC 321, predicting that his upcoming heavyweight showdown with Tom Aspinall will be nothing short of a dogfight. In his recent media appearance, the former interim champion showed full respect toward Aspinall's skill set but made it clear that he's ready for war. Gane explained that both fighters possess some of the most technical and fluid striking in the heavyweight division, a rare sight for fighters of their size. However, he pointed out that while Aspinall has dominated his opponents in record time, there's still a major question mark surrounding his ability to handle deep, grueling rounds against elite competition. Tom is very fast, very explosive, and very smart, Gane said, but he finishes his fights very early. We haven't seen him when things get really tough. My plan is to drag him into deep waters, to test his cardio, his mindset, and his patience. The Frenchman's strategy didn't seem to impress the reigning champion. When told about Gane's comments, Aspinall laughed off the idea that anyone could take him into deep waters. Every single fighter who said they would do that ended up getting knocked out in the first round, he quipped during media day. People keep saying they'll slow me down or expose me after the first few minutes, but so far, nobody's managed to survive long enough to find out. Indeed, Aspinall's record speaks for itself. He holds the shortest average fight time in UFC history, with nearly all his wins coming by way of first-round finishes. His speed, precision, and adaptability have made him one of the most dangerous heavyweights in recent memory. Still, Gane believes his own experience in championship rounds against names like Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou gives him an advantage that Aspinall hasn't yet earned. I've been in there with the very best, Gane noted. I've tasted defeat, I've gone through difficult moments, and I've learned from them. That's what makes me ready for everything. If the fight goes 25 minutes, I'm prepared. If it ends in 1 or 2 rounds, that's fine too, but I expect and hope it turns into a dogfight. I want to test myself against the most complete version of Tom Aspinall, and I want to give the fans something unforgettable. The matchup has already been billed as one of the most anticipated heavyweight clashes in years, a contest between two of the most intelligent and athletic big men in UFC history. With both fighters confident in their striking and tactical awareness, UFC 321 could deliver a technical masterpiece that still carries the unpredictability and chaos fans love about the heavyweight division. When asked about another hot topic, Alex Pereira potentially moving up to heavyweight, Gane had nothing but praise for the Brazilian powerhouse. Pereira is dangerous everywhere, he said. He's built up perfectly from middleweight to light heavyweight, and I think he could absolutely compete at heavyweight. He might be a little smaller than most heavyweights, but he's explosive, powerful, and smart. He understands the fight game like a businessman. He knows how to pick his moments and make big fights happen. With Gane's confidence, Aspinall's composure, and Pereira's name entering the heavyweight conversation, UFC 321 is shaping up to be a turning point for the division, one where skill, power, and strategy collide to determine who truly rules the biggest stage in mixed martial arts. Before we jump into the next story, we have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon. It really helps us out, and ensures you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. The middleweight division just got a whole lot more interesting, as Robert Whittaker has officially called out Strickland for a potential fight on the historic White House card scheduled for June 2026. Whittaker, a former UFC middleweight champion, made it clear that this isn't about animosity, it's about competition and legacy. I've been eyeing this matchup for a long time, Whittaker said in a recent interview. Sean's a unique fighter with a style that forces you to stay sharp every second of the fight. He's durable, he's technical, and he loves to push the pace. That's exactly the kind of challenge I'm looking for. Strickland currently sits at number 3 in the middleweight rankings, and Whittaker believes that a win over him would propel him right back into title contention. For fans, this matchup feels like a dream come true. Two of the most skilled and relentless strikers in the division, both known for their high fight IQ, cardio, and willingness to engage in a brawl. It's the kind of fight that could easily headline a pay-per-view event, and on such a historic card, it might even steal the show. The White House card itself has already been hyped as one of the most significant events in UFC history, symbolizing the sport's growing mainstream recognition and cultural impact. Having a veteran like Whittaker face off against a polarizing and outspoken figure like Strickland would only add to the spectacle. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the middleweight conversation, the Mako and Burns podcast weighed in on what's next for reigning champion Dricus du Plessis, DDP. According to the hosts, the most likely next opponent for du Plessis could be Brendan Allen. Allen has been making waves in the division, especially shortly after his recent victory over Rainier de Ridder, and has made it clear that his goal is to climb straight to a title shot, even daring to call out Khamzat Chimaev along the way. However, as the podcast hosts pointed out, Allen still has work to do. "Brendan's talented, no doubt," one of them said, "but the middleweight division is absolutely stacked right now. You've got guys like DDP, Strickland, Fluffy Hernandez, and Whittaker, all dangerous, all capable of finishing fights. Allen might need another big win or two before he's ready for the belt." The discussion also touched on Allen's evolving grappling game. One of the Brazilian analysts broke it down in detail. "There are so many different kinds of grapplers. Some have amazing submissions but no takedowns. Some dominate from the top but struggle off their back. To beat someone like Khamzat, you need to be good everywhere, defend takedowns, get back up, and be dangerous from every position." The analysts even speculated that Allen's teammate, Anthony "Fluffy" Hernandez, could pose problems for top contenders. "Fluffy's style is relentless," one said. "I think he could give Khamzat serious trouble. He's got the gas tank, the pace, and the grappling to make it a nightmare for anyone." As it stands, the middleweight division is one of the most competitive landscapes in all of MMA, with Whittaker and Strickland eyeing a blockbuster showdown, Du Plessis defending his throne, and contenders like Brendan Allen and Fluffy Hernandez making noise. Fans could be witnessing the dawn of a golden era for the 185-pound class. Whittaker versus Strickland at the White House card could represent more than just another fight. It could mark the beginning of a new chapter in middleweight history, where respect, rivalry, and raw competition collide on the sport's biggest stage. Move on to another news. Major headlines are circulating in the MMA world as Dana White has reportedly refused Khamzat Chimaev a January return, leaving fans speculating about what's next for one of the sport's most explosive stars. The story began when Khamzat was spotted at a recent ACA event, where he was there to support his close teammates, Guram Kutataladze, who made a successful post-UFC comeback with a dominant TKO victory, and Abdul Rahman Dudaev, whose fight ended in a controversial split decision win. Cameras caught Chimaev looking visibly frustrated as the judges' scorecards were announced, clearly displeased with the outcome of Dudaev's fight. His expression alone told fans everything. The undefeated star remains as fiery and emotionally invested in his team's success as ever. After the event, reporters from Ushatika attempted to get a quick interview with Chimaev, but he declined to comment, maintaining his ongoing stance of not engaging with the outlet, a feud that has been publicly noted in recent weeks. Instead, journalists spoke to Chimaev's longtime friend and training partner Alanbek Bediv, who provided crucial updates regarding Chimaev's next move, and why fans shouldn't expect to see him back in the Octagon anytime soon. Before revealing details, Bediv provided important context. Ramadan, the Islamic holy month, begins in February and concludes in March. According to him, Khamzat had been actively pushing to secure a fight before Ramadan, hoping to stay active after his last outing against Dricus du Plessis in August. However, scheduling conflicts and decisions made at the top level of the UFC appear to have derailed those plans. Khamzat wanted to fight in January, Bediv explained. He doesn't like sitting out too long. He was ready to fight anyone, middleweight, welterweight, doesn't matter. But the UFC told him there won't be a fight for him until after Ramadan. Dana wants him back when the timing is right, but not before then. This revelation immediately set off waves of reaction across the MMA community. Fans, analysts, and fighters alike questioned why one of the UFC's biggest global stars, a fighter known for his aggression, dominance, and draw power, would be sidelined when the promotion's early 2026 cards are already shaping up to be massive. Many speculate that the decision may be strategic, saving Chimaev for a high-profile pay-per-view event later in the year rather than rushing him into a short-notice fight. Others believe the move could be health or preparation-related. After all, Chimaev has dealt with a history of illnesses and extended layoffs before, and Dana White may simply be ensuring that his return comes under ideal circumstances. Despite the delay, insiders close to Chimaev insist that the Chechen-born star remains in top form, training hard and staying sharp in Dubai and Sweden. His team has reportedly been focusing on refining his striking and conditioning while maintaining his trademark wrestling pressure. If Dana White truly intends to hold off Chimaev's return until after Ramadan, fans may be looking at an April or May comeback, possibly against another top contender like Jared Cannonier, Sean Strickland, or even Dricus du Plessis in a rematch scenario. For now, Khamzat's supporters will have to stay patient. One thing is certain, when Boers finally steps back into the Octagon, it won't be just another fight, it will be an event. Whether Dana White's decision proves to be strategic genius or a missed opportunity opportunity. All eyes remain fixed on Chimaev's long-awaited return to the UFC cage. Move on to another news. Former UFC welterweight champion Kamaru Usman has sparked major discussion in the MMA community after calling Cyril Gane one of the most complete athletes in the UFC. The praise, while flattering to the French heavyweight, immediately drew pushback from Henry Cejudo, who strongly disagreed with Usman's assessment, igniting a heated debate just weeks before UFC 321, where Gane is set to face Tom Aspinall for the undisputed heavyweight title. During a recent podcast appearance, Usman confidently stated, "I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Cyril Gane is probably on the short list for the best all-around athlete in the UFC." He explained that his definition of a complete athlete goes beyond fighting ability, encompassing raw athleticism, strength, speed, agility, and coordination. When you think about what makes someone a great athlete, how well they can run, jump, move, and adapt, Gane checks every box. Usman continued, "Have you seen this guy move? He can dunk a basketball, he has elite footwork, and he moves like a middleweight despite being a heavyweight. That's rare." However, Cejudo, a former two-division UFC champion and Olympic gold medalist, was quick to counter Usman's statement. "You can talk about him being athletic, sure," Cejudo said, "but this is mixed martial arts, not basketball or track and field. Athleticism doesn't automatically make you the most complete fighter." He emphasized that Gane's past struggles in wrestling and grappling, particularly in his title fight against Francis Ngannou and submission loss to John Jones, highlight critical gaps in his MMA game that prevent him from being considered complete. Cejudo's comments led to a spirited exchange between the two champions. While Usman praised Gane's technical striking and adaptability, Cejudo doubled down, arguing that Aspinall's all-around skills, particularly his wrestling and power, make him a more well-rounded fighter. "If you're asking me to make a prediction," Cejudo said, "I'm going with Tom Aspinall, maybe by finish in the later rounds. I think this will be the first time we really see him pushed, maybe even go 5 rounds, but his grappling and composure are on another level." Usman, on the other hand, refused to make a firm prediction, describing the matchup as one of those rare fights that feels impossible to call. He acknowledged that both men possess elite fight IQs, excellent striking, and underrated ground skills. "You've got two of the most technical heavyweights ever," Usman explained. "Tom's power and speed are incredible, but Gane's movement, distance control, and composure are next level. This fight is as close as it gets." While the debate over who's more complete rages on, drama is also brewing outside the cage. Reports surfaced that Aspinall's father and longtime coach advised him not to sign a new UFC contract once his current 3-fight deal ends. They hinted at the possibility of exploring other opportunities after those fights, perhaps even outside of MMA. This revelation isn't entirely shocking. Years ago, in 2016, Aspinall admitted that he once considered leaving MMA altogether to pursue a boxing career. Given his current success and growing marketability, Aspinall's camp could be strategically positioning him for major leverage when contract negotiations begin. Whether that means a boxing crossover, a higher value deal with the UFC, or exploring free agency, it adds another layer of intrigue to his already remarkable rise. As UFC 321 approaches, the clash between Cyril Gane and Tom Aspinall has evolved from just a title fight into a philosophical debate about what defines a complete fighter. For Usman, it's about pure athleticism and fluidity. For Cejudo, it's about the mastery of every discipline within MMA. One thing is certain, when these two heavyweights step into the octagon, fans will witness a showdown that could redefine the modern heavyweight era. Move on to another news. Yesterday, the MMA world was thrown into confusion after reports surfaced that Bellator bantamweight champion Patchy had allegedly failed a drug test stemming from his 2024 fight against Magomedov in France. The news, which initially spread through Tapology and various MMA outlets, claimed that the French MMA Federation, FMMAF, had overturned Mix's victory, a split decision win, and reclassified it as a loss due to a positive test result. According to the initial reports, the FMMAF, which governs MMA events in France, stated that Mix tested positive for a banned substance following the May 2024 bout. However, the specific details of the test result were unclear at first. leading to widespread speculation across social media. Many assumed the violation was serious, possibly involving performance-enhancing drugs. Shortly after the story broke, Patchy responded directly to the rumors on social media, setting the record straight. "Weed ain't no performance-enhancing drug," he wrote, "only in Paris, SMH." His post quickly went viral, drawing both support and frustration from fans who criticized the French athletic system for its strict regulations on marijuana use. To add clarity, Mix's fiancée and fellow MMA fighter Tatiana Suarez shared more context about the situation on Instagram. According to her, the entire issue stemmed from a lab error. "He didn't smoke weed in competition," Suarez explained. "The lab messed up and said he tested over the limit, but the decimal was in the wrong spot. He wasn't actually over. We spent $20,000 in lawyer fees trying to fix it, and they still screwed him over. Honestly, it's super messed up. France is a nightmare to work with when it comes to MMA." Her comments shed light on how complicated and bureaucratic international fight commissions can be, especially when fighters compete outside of U.S. jurisdiction. The FMMAF's threshold for THC, the active compound in marijuana, is reportedly far stricter than that of the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, USADA, or the Nevada State Athletic Commission, NSAC, which have relaxed their marijuana policies in recent years. However, in a surprising and much-needed twist, veteran MMA journalist Damon Martin later confirmed that Patchy Mix's win will stand. According to Martin, he spoke directly with Mike Mazzulli, the head of the Mohegan Tribe Department of Athletic Regulation, who oversaw the testing for the Bellator card in France. Mazzulli clarified that while there was a test involving marijuana, his organization's independent testing came back negative. In other words, the French lab's findings were inaccurate and Mix did not fail a drug test under the regulatory body responsible for Bellator's oversight. This means that Mix's victory over Magomedov remains official, preserving his impressive record and championship status. The incident, however, has reignited a broader discussion within the MMA community about inconsistent global drug testing standards. While most major athletic commissions have eased restrictions on marijuana, acknowledging that it is not a performance-enhancing drug, some countries, including France, continue to enforce outdated thresholds that can lead to misunderstandings like this one. For now, Patchy Mix can breathe a sigh of relief. The Bellator champion remains undefeated under his recent run, and the controversy only strengthens his case as one of the most dominant bantamweights in the world. Still, the ordeal highlights how even minor administrative errors can threaten a fighter's reputation, and how much work remains to unify anti-doping policies across international MMA organizations.